Hello, everybody, and welcome to our NBA Trade Zone podcast, where we talk all things NBA trades, past, present, future. Hi, guys. My name is Daniel.
And I am Sebastian, and today we're going to continue our NBA preview as the season is fast approaching, almost 8 days away, I believe. So today we are going to be previewing the Northwest Division, which is probably the most deep division with a lot of teams. All the teams from last year were in the playoff hunt, and I believe only one of these teams did not make the playoffs, and they were actually the 9th seed. So this division has a lot to offer, so it feels like it's going to be a pretty interesting discussion that we are going to carry on today.
Yeah, and I really do like this division. There's a lot of good players, and like you said, there's a lot of good. I don't think there's anything great in this division. I think each team has some type of question mark facing it. So it's probably going to be overall the most fun division in the league, but I think that's going to go unrecognized because of the fact that, like I just said, there's nothing great. So I guess without further ado, let's jump right into it with the most controversial team in the league right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, so last year, Minnesota Timberwolves' record was 47-35. Vegas this year has them at 45.5 wins. Now, of course, this is not taken into effect that Jimmy Butler may get traded before the start of the season, and he probably will be traded by the end of the season. Jimmy Butler is pretty unhappy in Minnesota right now. He doesn't like to play with Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. So this team seems to be in a little bit disarray. When I checked the over-unders, the Vegas has their odds at 44.5, but this is without taking into account that Jimmy Butler hasn't been traded yet, and no matter who he gets traded for, the expectation is that they're not going to get it as much in return, at least for this year. So this number is probably going to go down. So for now, I think it's pretty safe to say that I would bet the under on this, even if he stays and plays in Minnesota for a little bit. I do ultimately believe Minnesota has to trade him just so they can get some value in return.
Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense to keep him around, especially taking into account what kind of led up to this, which is the kind of the back and forth we've seen between him and Andrew Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns, which would really make for an uncomfortable atmosphere if Jimmy Butler was to return to the team and go play with them at this point. I don't think, not only would it be awkward for him, but I don't think those two players would appreciate much seeing him back. So I do really believe that this will all be resolved before the season starts. I don't think Minnesota wants to go in and really upset Andrew Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns, who are more of the future there in Minnesota than Jimmy Butler is.
And I think the newest reports is that the trade with Miami have actually gone down, that they're not actually really discussing this anymore, and the Houston Rockets look to be the team that would be is in highest pursuit of Jimmy Butler. So that would mean probably an addition of Eric Gordon and maybe a PJ Tucker or whoever else is out there with a few draft picks. So for sure this year, that would definitely not improve their chances. I think Tom Thibodeau would be kind of happy with that trade just because you do get a player in Eric Gordon who has shown that he can perform at the NBA level.
Yeah, I think if those two players are being traded, I think it might have to be a 3-team trade. I don't really see Minnesota. Maybe I could see Thibodeau going for that, but I don't really see Minnesota's owner agreeing to acquiring two players who are either in their 30s, like in PJ Tucker, and close to 30 in Eric Gordon. I don't see him wanting to acquire those two players. That doesn't really fit into their future plans. So I could see this being more facilitated as a 3-team trade. And I really do believe that he will not end up in Houston. I really do believe he'll either end up in Miami or with the Clippers at this point. I think even though those two teams are playing hardball, and obviously so is Minnesota, I don't think it's going to... I think it's going to end up with him going to one of those teams because those are the two teams who seem inclined to pay him the max dollars next offseason. Those will be the two teams he will agree to go to almost definitively and almost definitively re-sign with them, or at least give a verbal agreement that he will re-sign with them.
Okay, so that being said, I am going to talk a little bit about who I believe is going to be their breakout player. Now, of course, this team traded away a lot of their young talent to the Bulls when they acquired Jimmy Butler. They did pick up Justin Patton last year as a rookie, but he didn't play much. I think a little bit. I mean, obviously, Tom Thibodeau has had a history of not liking to play rookies. And also, when it comes to the position, I don't think there was enough minutes just because of Karl Anthony Towns, Gorgie Jang, Taj Gibson, and Nemanja Bjelica all being on a team and all being able to take over those minutes. Now, I don't believe Justin Patton's going to get those minutes this year. He was also injured, so...
Well, he's injured again this year. I forgot exactly what the report was, but I think he's going to miss a significant amount of time. And even if he is back, he didn't show much of anything last year.
So that being said, I am going to say, and this is obviously a pretty long shot, but I'm going to say their rookie from the second round pick, Keita Bates-Diop, who I was a big fan of, played at Ohio State. Now, the reason I'll just argue that maybe he'll get some time is because he's not a rookie who played 1 year. He played all 4 years in college, so he's coming off. He might have been 3 years, but he is a seasoned college player. He's the type of player that Tom Thibodeau likes. He's a workhorse who works his butt off. He can play defense. He can score. He can rebound. And he plays the position that is most useful right now, which is small forward. He can guard multiple positions. So I do see maybe he being the player that comes out and contributes right away to the team.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you. I'm not going to disagree. There's not much there in terms of rookies. I mean, besides him and Josh Okogie, and who knows how Thibodeau will play these players. So I won't say much about this. So for a trade that I'm going to propose, and when I was initially when I was looking at this trade, when I was thinking of a trade for Minnesota, preparing for this episode a couple weeks back, I considered moving Andrew Wiggins to another team and really receiving the best package, looking for the best package that the Timberwolves would receive. But now with this new development of Jimmy Butler, not new anymore, but with Jimmy Butler demanding a trade, I tried to really look out there and see what could be the best package that they'll receive for Jimmy Butler, not what necessarily the best package that other teams could offer for him. So with that, I came up with the Timberwolves receiving Tobias Harris and Lou Williams for Jimmy Butler and Justin Patton. Now, I know the Clippers have been resisting giving up Tobias Harris, which to me, I just think that's more of them really bluffing at the Timberwolves and really trying to get them to drop their asking price, which I don't think Minnesota is going to do. It only makes sense. If you're going to give away Jimmy Butler to the Clippers, then you should receive at least a Tobias Harris in return. Plus Lou Williams, who's on a little bit of a long-term contract and is a very efficient scorer. Again, Minnesota needs a lot of depth. I threw in Justin Patton here because I think Tobias Harris and Lou Williams might be a little too much for Jimmy Butler. So I'm like, let me throw in Justin Patton here, who, again, he's hurt. He hasn't shown much. He still is on a rookie scale contract and it is only second season. Maybe he could go to the Clippers and develop into a sixth or seventh player, a decent bench player there by his fourth, fifth season. So that's the reason why I threw in Justin Patton there. And again, especially if the Clippers are to receive Jimmy Butler in a trade, there's really no point of them keeping Tobias Harris. Not to say that he's not a great player, but now if you're bringing in Jimmy Butler, you're hoping to get another max star next offseason. I mean, that's by far your goal. You're aiming to keep Jimmy Butler and get another max star. Now, Tobias Harris, if you're keeping him and plan on keeping him throughout beyond this season, I mean, he's going to take up a lot of money. He's gonna demand pretty much anywhere around probably $25 million next offseason, and there will be a team most likely willing to pay him that if he has another year that he either not plateaus, but stays at the same pace that he did last year. Or what he should do is, after having half a season with the Clippers, he should really improve with this team and really probably hit his peak this year. So he's going to ask for a lot of money. He's probably going to get it. So really, if the Clippers are aiming for the top-notch free agents next year, there's no point of keeping Tobias Harris because he would severely limit that flexibility and almost probably take away that flexibility of signing another superstar. So what do you think about this trade?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if I'm the Clippers and you are actually serious about getting two max players by the end of that next year, you have to make this trade. I mean, Tobias Harris is also on a 1 year deal, and there's no nothing that says that he's going to stay in LA. Now, obviously, LA is a great destination for players where they want to play, but you don't want to risk losing him. I mean, Jimmy Butler has made it pretty clear that he does want to play with the Clippers. So I do think if you are the Clippers, even though this was not going to make you a great team this year, it's going to give you a chance to at least compete. They already think they're going to compete, and it's just going to improve your competition. And, and then you're going to have that room to get, maybe you can get Kawhi Leonard come next year or whoever else is out there that doesn't find a team. Now, if you're the Timberwolves, I like Tobias Harris. I like the addition. I think the fit would be pretty good if you have Cat at the 5, him at the 4, Tobias at the 4, and then Andrew Wiggins at the 3. That'd be pretty interesting. And obviously, we saw what Lou Williams can do. So you are giving up a lot if you are the Clippers, but you are not giving up anything that's really going to really help you out in the future. So if I'm the Clippers and the Timberwolves, I do this deal without hesitation. I'm guessing the Timberwolves maybe want to get back a little bit more. Maybe they want to get a draft pick in this if this was the case. But, again, you're getting a Tobias Harris. You're getting a Lou Williams. I think Thibodeau would be pretty happy with the package he would receive here.
Yeah, I think if the Timberwolves are resistant, though, to trade Tobias Harris now, I don't think they especially would not go with a first-round pick, especially for the reason that they're throwing in Lou Williams as well. And I think Tobias Harris is, like you just said, almost a perfect fit around Cat. A little better than Jimmy Butler, who Jimmy Butler is obviously a better player, but he might not be as good of a fit because Tobias Harris is not only younger, but he stretches the floor much better than Jimmy Butler does.
Okay, so we are going to move on to talk about the Portland Trailblazers. Now, Portland was the team that actually won this division last year, but Vegas and other sources actually have them as, even before the Butler said that there's a big belief that they're going to go down when compared to last year. And what Vegas said has them at 41.5, which in my opinion, this is not very smart. I would bet the over here, and I'd be pretty confident with betting the over. I know Portland did show us that they stagnated in the playoffs, but to me it was kind of like they faced a team that was really good and really had their number. Portland still has Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, who I'm a fan of. Both of them, I do think they have a pretty good team. And I do believe they're going to win more than 41 games next year.
Yeah, I have their victory set at 45. I don't think they're going to drop as much as everyone thinks. I really do like the addition of Seth Curry there. They still have, most of their starters are still young. Actually, all of their starters are still young. They're still under 30, and most of them even younger than that. Mo Harkless is only about 25. Again, he's probably the worst player in terms of being a starter, but Al-Farouq Amino's there. He's about 27, 28. Nurkic, who might be in for a breakout year in terms of at least maybe being more productive than he has been. He's a solid player, but we'll see. Maybe he's finally due to really shine this upcoming season. So I really do like the roster. I don't think, again, I agree that they're going to be probably either the 4th or the 5th best team in the division. However, I do have their victory set at 45 wins.
All right, so you mentioned Yusuf Nurkic, who got a big payday, who they resigned. I don't think that he is going to improve at all. I think we've seen what he can do. And he also hasn't shown much that he wants to improve by not really staying in shape and not really working on developing a jump shot. I think the breakout player here is Zach Collins, and he's the rookie from last year. Last year he got very little playing time. He averaged 4 points, 3 rebounds, and shot 31% from the three-point line, which is something that when they drafted him, and they drafted him pretty early, the Portland Trailblazers are going to want more from him. But I think he's capable of more, and I think the Portland Trailblazers seasons, and I know this might sound pretty weird, but if they make the playoffs, I think it's going to really depend on if Zach Collins becomes a little bit of a better player and he can contribute. He can help out CJ and he can help out Dame. And, if they mesh together and he can step out and stretch the floor, something that Nurkic can't do, the Portland Trailblazers are going to be a better team, in my opinion, and which will give them a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, again, I think the problem here is the fact that him and Nurkic do play the same position. And Zach Collins could play a little bit of power forward. I don't know if you'd want to play him together with Nurkic much, but even at that position, you have Alfredo Camino, who was widely considered probably the X factor for the Blazers last year in terms of being able to do it all and really provide